She yearned to expose his lies and bring him down, but knew she needed to bide her time to prepare for the perfect moment of retribution. Deculein, meanwhile, began his lecture, commanding silence with a single word. He reintroduced himself as the head professor of the Magic Tower, a monarch mage capable of controlling elements, noting that the monarch was the fourth rank among mages. He launched into an explanation of magic, outlining the 3 attributes and 9 types, concepts presumably familiar to his audience. The attributes, he explained, were the origins, the source of magic, encompassing elements, materials, and objects. The types included summoning, spirits, destruction, support, enchantment, manipulation, ductility, bewitchment, and harmony. To his surprise, Deculein found the lecture material easier than expected. Even though he was simply reading from a prepared script, he found himself understanding the concepts perfectly, thanks to his comprehension attribute. His presence commanded the students' attention, his elitist demeanor coming across as natural rather than overbearing. He might even possess the qualities of a good teacher, he mused. He continued, explaining how mana usage differed depending on its storage location. In the head for mages, the heart for knights, and the inner core for a blend of internal and external mana. He delivered a concise message about the importance of focus over raw talent, a statement that felt characteristic of Deculein. He admitted, however, that he himself wasn't extraordinary, his current mana level at 3,375, far below a named mage's primary mana of 30,000. He finished reading. He found the script was starnge at the last part. The original hymn wouldn't say that. Deculein asked if there were any questions. At first, there was silence. Then, a student, the girl from before, stood up, reporting a mysterious spell discovered the previous night in the dormitories, assumed to be the work of the devil. She pointedly questioned Deculein, the genius spell interpreter, about his opinion. He, however, questioned her affiliation with the university's magic tower. When she hesitated, he rebuked her for not following proper etiquette, stating he wouldn't answer questions from a child who lacked basic manners. He acknowledged her question, but stated he had no choice but to dismiss it for the moment. He realized that his comprehension attribute had consumed a significant amount of mana during the lecture, 1,300, a concerning revelation. The students whispered among themselves, amused by the girl's failed attempt to challenge Deculein. She, seething with frustration, recognized her attempt to get noticed had backfired. Ignoring him, she urged him to stop. She persisted, claiming the magic tower was refusing to analyze the spell, calling it a rumor. She used her magic to project the spell. She demanded that he, as a genius spell interpreter, identify the magic used. His mana had drastically decreased. She explained that while the remaining debutantes were analyzing the spell, there had been no progress, requesting a hint from him. Deculein identified it as barrier magic, specifically a bewitchment-type barrier designed to trap. With a final, dismissive gesture, he declared the matter closed. The side quest was completed, and he received his plus 0.5 store currency. In the university's magic tower cafeteria, the girl, identified as Ephraim, furiously ate her food, cursing Deculein. She had intended to expose his fraudulent skills with an unknown spell, but his unexpected knowledge and her own lack of decorum had made her appear foolish. She was only able to say it was a bewitchment spell. She noted how most spells needed parameter, but this did not. She had brought the unknown spell, which was drawn on the dormitory's front door, intending to expose Deculein. Another student approached her. She explained the purpose of the spell was to increase the freshman's research skills, and that it turned out to be a real barrier after recomposing it. Ephraim was confused. The other student complimented her bravery in questioning the scary professor, though admitted they lacked the courage to do so. When she realized the magic was indeed a barrier, and he knew, she was shocked. The student thanked her, promising to include her name in the report. Ephraim, realizing she had inadvertently helped improve Deculein's reputation, despaired. Deculein's lecture topic for the semester, Understanding Elemental Magic, was revealed. She thought, know your enemy and you will win. Deculein's words echoed in her mind, serving as a stark reminder of the challenge ahead. She needed to remain steadfast. She vowed, once again, to expose him. Deculein walked through the university halls, a sense of unease settling upon him. The recent confrontation could have ended badly. He realized that his comprehension attribute had activated involuntarily when he looked at the spell, draining a significant amount of mana just by observing the intricate, tangled lines of the spell circle. He wouldn't have been able to understand, even with double mana. He was saved. He unexpectedly encountered a woman with white hair and light eyes, a character he recognized from his countless hours spent in front of a monitor. It was Julie von Deculein, his fiancée, and a named character destined to become a pinnacle of knighthood. He felt uncertain on how to deal with this unexpected encounter. He greeted her with a curt, "Fine, let's say." Julie asked if he has been fine, despite the broken promise a week ago. He feigned ignorance, having no memory of any promise. He felt he should just avoid it, but she stopped him, questioning if he was running away, like before. She wouldn't let him go. Deculein, admitting a lapse in memory due to a past fever, inquired about the nature of the promise. She proposed a deal. If he confessed his pretense and arrogance to everyone, she would be with him, even if the world crumbled. However, his distrust was evident. He gave her permission to leave. She looked away. Julie departed, leaving Deculein to reflect on their broken engagement, an event orchestrated for convenience. The union of Deculein, a talented mage, and Julie, a talented knight, was seen as beneficial for both political and bloodline reasons. Nobody opposed to the marriage. It was for the good of the household, even if loveless. However, both families soon realized that Deculein's supposed talents were non-existent. He had risen to the position of professor through lies, claiming to be a genius of spell analysis. After some incident, the fall of the whiz kid, he produced no accomplishment. The Yucklines and Friedins tried to keep it quiet, not wanting their flaws exposed to the public. Julie could tolerate a loveless marriage, but not the deception, a conviction rooted in her knightly code. He had agreed to her terms. She would not keep the deal until the very end. Deculein continued his walk, this time toward the Magic Tower, the top department in the best university in the game. It held a position akin to Seoul University's medical school in Korea, with the Magic Tower itself comparable to Seoul National University Hospital. He admired the campus's well-maintained beauty, reminiscent of an American college campus. He reflected on how his team had spent countless nights creating this atmosphere, a bittersweet experience to witness in someone else's body. He stumbled, quite literally, bumping into a young man in a hurry. The young man, apologizing profusely, explained he was rushing to see his professor. Deculein recognized him as the same student who had delivered the lecture script earlier, though he initially mistook him for an ambush. Introducing himself as Alan, not Zorro as Deculein had mistakenly called him, he presented a list of sponsorships for new mages. The Magic Tower, like research facilities in the real world, required funding for magical development. Professors sponsored new mages they deemed worthy. Examining the list, Deculein noticed a name shining in gold, a consequence of his own wealthy magnate attribute. This rare attribute, coupled with sharp eyesight, provided him with an intuitive understanding of profitable ventures. The golden name, he surmised, represented a potentially lucrative investment. Several other names also stood out, but one shone the brightest: Ephraim Luna. She was a main-named character, one of the developers in charge of modeling her, had her father killed by him. However, Ephraim had no sponsorships. Everyone was wary of what Deculein might do if they sponsored her, given that she was his enemy. If he allowed events to unfold as they did in the game, the nullification of engagement would lead to his death. He was trapped by the villain's fate, a destiny where the world wished for his demise, but what didn't kill him made him stronger. Deculein knew he could die in countless ways: a sword to the heart, a wand to the head, poison in a wine glass, a bomb. To survive, he needed to make a different choice, one the original Deculein would never have made. He started writing. He instructed Alan to submit the documents and to borrow a few books, intending to begin writing immediately. Alan departed. Deculein determined that he needed a lot of money to survive, as it could overcome many of the death routes. Investing in a mage was one way to get it, but that was not enough. There are many named characters that will try to kill him. To survive, he needed a way out. He needs to be strong. Deculein concluded that the best way for him to survive was by becoming stronger. However, Deculein's talents were merely average, insufficient to counter future threats or the countless deaths that awaited him. He had one advantage: his attributes. While he couldn't control all four elements like some, he possessed potential in manipulating earth and fire. Combining earth, fire, and metal resulted in another attribute: Midas Touch, which consumed the user's mana to unlock a target's potential. His talent in manipulating metal allowed him to wield chi-controlled levitating blades. It was simply telekinesis he knew, common, but not widely used in this world. He could compensate for his lack of power by manipulating metal's properties. To realize all of this, he needed to learn manipulation, starting with object manipulation. He decided to test it. Focusing his will, he attempted to manipulate the book with his mana. The contents of the book on basic telekinesis flooded his mind. With newfound understanding, he effortlessly levitated a nearby paintbrush. Now, he had memorized basic telekinesis and did not need to cast it. Something he saw only on the game screen was happening. However, even with high-ranking telekinesis, he knew he wouldn't reach the level he desired. He considered a radical idea. What if he covered his entire body with magic circles? In this world, larger magic circles were stronger. So imprinting them across his body, not just his brain, but his heart and inner core, could amplify his telekinesis, using the comprehend to understand it. Of course, there was a risk of overload and side effects. But the attribute this body, called Iron Man, allowed him to withstand such effects. His current mana level, at 800, was sufficient for a taste. He pushed and tested his new skill. He began, and a searing pain engulfed him, as if his bones were breaking and his muscles tearing. He endured, refusing to yield, a steadfastness befitting a noble. The pain ended, and he felt utterly drained, his mana depleted to a mere 1/3,375. Yet, he had gained something. A magic circle now adorned his shoulder. He estimated it would take 2 weeks to cover his entire body. A month passed since Deculein seminar, marking the first day of his lecture at the University Magic Tower. The upperclassmen had told a different story, wondering if the classes were all like this. The students had been tasked with studying in an element-rich area, using signboards. They were left to struggle, questioning the professor's whereabouts. Ephraim, among them, grumbled about Deculein's irresponsibility. She was suddenly bumped into by another student. Ephraim, startled, demanded to know who it was, only to be further shocked when the student vanished before her eyes. The student, revealed to be Sylvia von Josephine Elade, reappeared, startling Ephraim again. Ephraim didn't recognize her. Sylvia, using her magic, she built a monument of rock and ice. Ephraim remembered someone from House Elade was involved in an incident 10 years prior, where the Elades, fearing her father and her potential, surrounded and threatened their manor. How could Sylvia not remember her? Sylvia started absorbing mana, puzzling Ephraim. Sylvia was taking mana and absorbing the elements. She was absorbing everything Ephraim has been gathering. Ephraim was confused. She remembered. Pretending not to recognize Ephraim, she asked, "Miss Sylvia?" Sylvia, seemingly smug, claimed Ephraim was trying to steal her spotlight after threatening her family and using magic to force her to drop. Ephraim could not make of who she was talking about. Ephraim did not know Sylvia, but know her father, the deceased former noble, a fact that infuriated Sylvia. Another student intervened, witnessing Sylvia's aggressive display. Sylvia, enraged, demanded that Sylvia repeat what she had just said, her magic flaring. Sylvia, enraged by Sylvia's words, unleashes a torrent of green energy, knocking her to the ground. Sylvia is shocked. A sudden explosion of fire and debris erupts. Another student is sent flying, crying out in pain. Amidst the chaos, other students inquire about the injured and the cause of the disturbance. Sylvia, still seething, demands Ephraim to stop her. Repeating what she has said before, she accuses her of insulting her father, threatening to end her. Ephraim, however, is distracted by a strange, dark light emanating. This void-like phenomenon alarms the other students, who recognize it as a dangerous and indiscriminate force. It's revealed to be the result of Sylvia's and Ephraim's clashing mana, now sucking in everything around them. Warnings are shouted about an impending explosion, with the metal fragments becoming deadly projectiles. Ephraim, stunned, observes the sudden cessation of the dangerous phenomenon. Deculein appears, his levitating blades having neutralized the threat, freezing the exploded fragments in place. The students, awestruck by his timely intervention and display of power, are mesmerized by the beauty of his magic, recognizing it as enchantment magic. The frozen metal shards form an intricate structure. Deculein ends the lecture, ordering everyone except those involved in the commotion to leave. Ephraim, realizing the gravity of the situation and her own vulnerability, dreads the upcoming disciplinary meeting. The scene shifts to an interrogation room, where Deculein is greeted by Professors Retlon and Reelin, and the chairwoman, Adeline Sigillian Adeline, questions who dare to harm a lady of House Elade, accusing a lowly one not attending the academy. However, she also acknowledges Deculein's skillful resolution of the situation, praising his impressive intervention. Deculein, seeing through her apparent flattery, understands that the disciplinary meeting's outcome is predetermined, favoring Sylvia, the daughter of the influential Elade family, over Ephraim, a commoner. He knows he must manipulate the situation to his advantage, driven by his own survival instincts and the looming villain's fate. The disciplinary meeting between Ephraim and Sylvia officially begins. Professor Reelin admonishes them for the conflict, stating someone could have been hurt if not for Deculein's intervention. Ephraim, unable to reveal her true motives, remains silent, aware that Deculein is observing her. She reflects on Sylvia's disdain for her father and her inability to speak freely in front of Deculein. The professors mock Ephraim's perceived inferiority complex. Ephraim feels humiliated by their disregard. Sylvia claims the argument stemmed from an accidental destruction of her work during class. The professors, biased against Ephraim, accuse her of anger management issues. They call for Ephraim's expulsion, emphasizing the need to punish such behavior. Ephraim, enduring insults and feeling isolated, realizes there is no one to protect her. She bitterly blames Deculein for her predicament. Adeline appears to have orchestrated the opinions. She asks for Deculein's opinion as a witness.
So this episode ends here with a suspense movement. We'll see what will Deculein do. Will he save her or not in the next episode? Thank you for watching. Have a great day.